I tweeted the other night that this is a Final Four featuring 4 blue bloods, and immediately people tried to tell me, no, Villanova is not a blue blood. My response to that is more or less, go argue about it on Facebook. I don't care. But I do care what you think. So do you have an opinion on whether Villanova is a blue blood or not?
I actually do have an opinion on this. I saw, our friend Bomani Jones tweeted out earlier in the week, there are 6 blue bloods: Kentucky, Carolina, Duke, UCLA, Kansas, and Indiana. He said the rest are nouveau riche, which is another way of saying, new money, not traditional, not inherited wealth, if you will. But I reject the premise here. And I think, and it's not just Bomani, but Bomani's obviously a superstar in media, and he knows what he's talking about and knows Duke, Carolina, college basketball altogether. But I do reject the premise that there was some sort of timeline that began back in like the 50s or 60s where these schools were handed down this title by the basketball gods, and rings were carved out of lava from the mountains and the volcanoes, and they're the only ones. That's not how it works. Because you know what? If podcasts existed in the year 1990 and we were talking about teams that were blue bloods, you know who would not be on that list? Duke. Did not have a national title at that point. It was a really, really good program. In fact, in some ways, not always, this is an exact analogy here, Duke was a lot like Gonzaga to that point. It had been good for a very long time. It had not broken through. Mike Krzyzewski was not Coach K at that point. So my whole premise with this is, when did we decide when the blue blood situation became those 6 specific schools? Why is there suddenly this cutoff and no one gets to join it? That's just frankly not how it is. Because you know what? UCLA wasn't awesome until John Wooden got there. There were no blue bloods in the year 1964, I guess. It has to start at some point. And so long as we don't, kill off our planet, we're going to be playing the sport for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. Do you mean to tell me 150 years from now, it's only going to be those 6 schools? Of course not. This will evolve and it will grow. So last year, 2 years ago, when the dumbest pandemic of our lifetimes
Never seen one like this, Deadleg.
I spent an off season essentially researching 100+ programs and everything they had ever done. There weren't games to prepare for. We had a lot of free time, and we had content that we had to fill that machine. So I went about trying to figure out, all right, historically, from a statistical and an achievement standpoint, what are the best programs in the history of men's college basketball? And so what I did was I combined a number of factors. And we talked about this on a podcast after I did it, but to refresh your memory, I assigned point values to certain things. And so the most was if you had NCAA tournament titles, but also Final Four appearances without a title. You also got points for that. Regular season titles, conference titles, Elite 8 runs, NBA draft picks, NCAA tournament bids, wins over ranked teams, wins a week spent as a ranked team, all this stuff. Your total wins, your total losses, all of it went into a whole big pile. And I counted it up. And you know what? Here was the top 10 when I did that list. And I got plenty more coming on why Nova's a blue blood, by the way. Here was the top 10 then. Kentucky was 1. Carolina was 2. Duke was 3. UCLA was 4. Kansas was 5. Louisville was 6. Indiana was 7. UConn was 8. Villanova was 9. And Cincinnati was 10. I'm not going to stand here and make the case that Cincinnati is an absolute blue blood. But the other 9, yes. And in fact, if I actually applied the same exact formula and updated it with this season's results, Villanova would actually be ahead of UConn even before we know if it's going to win a national title or not. And even though right now UConn sits with 1 more national championship than Villanova. If you want to make a case against UConn, I kind of get it, because once Jim Calhoun got there, he completely changed the program, and it has been really, really good as of late. But Villanova, I just don't think you have a case, man. Right now, Villanova, here's the deal. I think there's got to be a few different things that have to set the parameters for if you're a national championship blue blood level kind of program. 1, it's how many Final Fours have you been to? Nova's been to 7. Carolina has the most with 21. Then you got UCLA, Kentucky, and Duke. They're creeping up just a few behind, 17 apiece. Kansas has 16. Indiana has 8. I think Louisville's got 9 or 10. One was vacated, and then Louisville's sitting there with 7. You also have to have at least 3 national championships, and that Villanova does. UCLA has leads the way, of course, with 11. Kentucky has 8. UNC has 6. Duke has 5. Indiana has 5. UConn has 4. Kansas and Villanova have 3. I would put Louisville in that group as well. It has 3 when you include the vacated one under Pitino, and then that's the list basically. Also, Villanova's won national championships with separate coaches. It hasn't been the one coach that's done it. That Duke can't actually claim the same. Now, Duke was good before Coach K got there. Shouts to Vic Bubas, of course. But this idea that you can't evolve and elevate to the blue blood conversation, to me, is just not accurate. Villanova's also 9th all-time in NCAA tournament wins. It's been a staple of the NCAA tournament for essentially almost 4 decades. And I think another thing that actually helps Villanova's case in this spot, GP, first of all, I love the fact that this Final Four isn't just a blue blood Final Four. It's also a basketball first Final Four. Carolina, Kentucky, Kansas, Duke, and Nova. Sorry, Kentucky fans.
Kentucky doesn't go to the Final Four.
Kentucky fans got to be like, actually, Kentucky fans got to be like hating life at the moment right now because, you know, not involved in this. It's 10 years since you won your last one and all that kind of stuff. But the point I'm making here is that Duke, Carolina, Kansas, Villanova all put a priority on basketball over football. And not only Villanova is it's in a basketball only conference. It doesn't even have Division I high level football the way that the other 3 schools do. So all of that, plus the fact that it's coached by a Hall of Fame coach, it won it in the 80s, which is, you know, considered the greatest, most influential, most impactful, important decade in the history of the sport. I could keep going on and on and on, but that's basically it. Villanova is a blue blood. I don't think it's just those 6. Villanova 7. I think Louisville's in there for 8. And then UConn, to me, is the one where it's like, what do we want to do with this? Now, it did win titles with separate coaches. Kevin Ollie did win a national championship with Calhoun's roster there. If UConn fans want to make the case, I'm certainly here to hear it. But Villanova's success, Villanova was also in the very first Final Four ever. So I don't want to hear this like they're late to the party. Literally the first NCAA tournament. They didn't have 68 or 64 or 32 teams in it. Kind of a small field. But Villanova went to the very first Final Four. It made one in the 70s. It made one in the 80s. And then obviously it's had this run under Jay Wright. I don't think there's an argument against it. We don't have to have 6 traditional blue bloods, and that's the only one. Duke had to eventually get there, and it had to win to do it. And I think that Villanova has done it to this point. I actually think this Final Four appearance, GP, is really what solidifies it. It got to it again. A national championship, I already think the conversation's done, but then it's really, really, really done. And that's all I got.
You sure?
Vicini just texted me and said, this is the longest you've ever talked on the podcast consecutively. So I'm shutting up. I'm frankly, like, whatever. I'm just, this idea that you can't be a blue blood because you weren't this elite program before 1994. Who's deciding these arbitrary cutoffs? That's all.
Yeah, I forfeited the right years ago to ever get upset about somebody else talking too much. So like, do your thing.
Well, last thing, I was gonna write a column about this, but frankly, I got a Coach K thing going up tomorrow. I just didn't have the time, so I did I kind of saved it for the podcast, and so I had it all in the bucket, my man.
For what it's worth, CBS and Turner sent out an email earlier today announcing some stuff, and it was titled this way: Blue Bloods, Duke, Kansas, North Carolina, and Villanova to headline 2022 Division I men's basketball Final Four in New Orleans. So at least the people putting together the press releases, they call him Villanova a blue blood. 3 national titles, 2 different coaches, 2 different decades. Been in 16 of the past 17 NCAA tournaments. Conference championship in 7 of the past 9 seasons. Been operating at an extremely high level for most of the past 20 years. One definition I saw earlier today when I was looking for a definition for a blue blood as it pertains to sports is to, and this is a simple definition, but it said to have a track record of winning. Isn't a 20-year track record long enough? If so, I'd argue Villanova is a blue blood. And if Gonzaga ever gets a stupid national title, I'll start trying to make
it's going to be hard for Gonzaga to get into that if it's not in a power conference. And I, you know, whatever, we don't have to go down the Gonzaga route, but there were people that might actually literally die on that hill before they call Gonzaga blue blood. So,
by the way, this will be just the second Final Four with 2 coaches with multiple national titles. That's a fact.
Do you know? I don't know. I can't. Do you know the other one? Trivia
time! What other Final Four had 2 coaches with multiple Final Fours? I mean, with multiple national championships.
That's happened before.
Yeah,
that's almost a regular occurrence.
What other Final Four has had 2 coaches in it that had multiple national titles when they were coaching in it? You know what? You're not going to get it.
I got it.
You really
it's got it. It's 2011. Because no, 2010 Duke won it. Damn it! It's not 2011.
Just give me the decade.
Hold on, I gotta think. I'm all right. So first of all, I gotta go every Duke title. So just because K has 5, so 91, It's Roy.
Let me
who didn't
stop
have
you. It's got
Come
nothing to do with-
on. Why aren't you letting me talk through this?
It's got nothing to do with Duke. I'm just fast forwarding.
It's okay. So Duke is not involved whatsoever.
Nope.
Fine.
Let me help you. It's got
And
nothing to do
91
with
wouldn't have
UCLA.
applied anyway. Okay, so it's not Duke. Self doesn't have
UCLA.
multiple. Let's see here. 17, no. 18, no, because Jay didn't have to at that point. You want a decade, my man. Multiple national championships. Dean didn't even get a second until the 90s. So 93, we're looking at Carolina. Michigan was a no.
Let me help you. No, you're on the wrong path.
Okay. And I'm not looking at the chat because the chat's probably put it in here already. So I want to get this organically. Let's see. Multiple titles. So how about this? Is Wooden involved in this?
No.
Okay. I figured he wouldn't be because there weren't that many people that would have won a national championship multiple at that point. All right, give me a hint. Damn it. I don't want to keep the listeners late.
1950s is where you need to go.
Get the hell out of here, my man. So we're talking San Francisco?
Nope.
We're talking Ohio State.
Nope. This is back when Kentucky used to win national titles.
So this is Adolph Rupp, and then
it is a man who has a building named after
Bill
him.
Henderson.
It's
Bill
not
Henderson.
It should have been Bill Henderson. It's not.
It's
There's
Bill
a basketball arena named after this guy.
In the 50s.
He coached.
So
Adolph Rupp had 2 at this point, and
we're
another
thinking-
coach in the Final Four had 2 at this point as well. He has a building named after him.
Fog Allen?
Nope.
Didn't think so.
Same conference, though.
Same comp. I feel like Dick Harp.
It's not Dick Harp.
Bill Henderson, Dick Harp, Fog Allen. I'm striking out. Oh, man. Who else we got in the Big 12? Hold on, let me go through this. Not Oklahoma. Frickin' A, man. Hank Iba.
That's right. Henry
Hank
Iba.
Okay.
Adolph Rupp had 2. Henry Iba had 2.
That's sneaky good. That trivia question is sneaky good. How about that?
And Adolph Rupp ended up – Kentucky won the title that year, so Rupp got his 3rd title that year.
I just saw the chat. Everyone's saying Iba. So, yeah.
Mike Krzyzewski, by the way, if you're into this kind of stuff, is trying to become just the 2nd coach to win 7 NCAA tournament titles. Jay Wright trying to become just the 7th coach to win at least 3. The other coaches with at least 3 right now, John Wooden's got 10. Coach K's got 5. Adolph Rupp finished with 4. Roy Williams, Jim Calhoun, Bob Knight got 3 each. Bill Self trying to become just the 16th coach to win at least 2 national titles. So, listen, a lot of people have 1, including Kevin Ollie. Only 15 people have 2, and only 6 people have 3. So, Jay Wright, if he were able to do this, would put himself into a really small category that would include only him, John Wooden, Mike Krzyzewski, Adolph Rupp, Roy Williams, Jim Calhoun, and Bob Knight.
I said this on the radio Tuesday. Jay Wright's a Hall of Fame coach and a legendary coach. If we are talking in the wee hours of Tuesday morning about this podcast, GP, about Villanova having won, Jay Wright is a coaching immortal. You get to 3, that's coaching immortality.